We're live.
What is up, Bridge Runner Nation? It is Cam, back again, hosting in place of Wesley Harton. Here to co-host tonight's Ridge Runners Live with the always lovely John Dolovacki III and Nettie Zeppettella here with us tonight after she was the only, you heard that right, the only finisher of the Baby Dragon 100 miler in Blairsville, Georgia. I am so excited to have her on as a guest tonight. I don't think any of you are going to want to miss this. To those of you who don't know anything about Nettie yet, let me just give you like a really quick rundown because maybe you've heard of some of these races. The Hurt 100, the Hellgate 100, the Shawnee 50 mile, first place there, I might add, the Eastern States 100, the Cruel Jewel 100, the Ute 100, the Mohican 100, the Hellbender 100, the Mount Mitchell Challenge, Burning River 100, the Run Love It 100 miler, another first place, the JFK 50 miler, 15 total podium finishes over the 58 races on her Ultra Sign Up page, and now newly the only finisher and the winner of the Baby Dragon 100 miler. It's such an honor to have Nettie on with us tonight. But that said, like always, I'll start with our usual first question. Nettie, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, yes, my drink. I have my drink. So I am a weird ultra runner that doesn't like to drink beer. Beer makes me sleepy. I don't like it. I'm drinking Prosecco. I like bubbles. I like bubbly wine.
Nice. What are you drinking over there, Cam?
Yeah, so I can second the bubbles because the friend that I'm staying with until I move into my own apartment has a soda stream. So I have just some plain carbonated water here because I have yet to buy any beer or anything since I don't quite have my own place yet. What about you, John? What are you doing?
I'm drinking some classic Gatorade right here.
So I'm the only.
No drink tonight for me. I got the race this weekend, so I'm off the booze for a couple of days to make sure I'm in good shape. So.
Yeah, we'd love to see that focus, and I think that's a really great choice for you tonight. And so, with all that said, Nettie, I think it's safe to say that you have an incredible ultra running resume that we just went over a little bit. But did you ever imagine yourself being the only finisher of a race?
First of all, you gave me like that amazing introduction, and it makes me sound like way more badass than I really am. So I really appreciate it. But I think I'm more stubborn than talented. And no, I never thought I would be the only finisher. I'm obviously, the race was in Georgia, and it's a way harder trail than I'm used to running. And I was the only, I think, out-of-state participant. So no, I never expected that I would be the only one that will get to the finish. I was hoping to just survive and get there. That was my goal for the race, but no, I didn't expect to be the only one.
Sure sounds like you met your goal, though.
I guess.
Finish.
Yeah, I had no time goal. I just wanted to and I also felt going into that race, I kind of felt unprepared. I was going on the trail that I only seen once in my life because I ran Cruel Jewel in 2019, and that was my only experience with the dragon spine. And other people in the race, they live in the area, they run it weekly. So no, never imagined myself being the last one standing.
And so you mentioned sort of like the experience you've had on that trail there. Do you like to do that before races then? Get out on the trails that the races are on a lot and kind of get to know the course a little bit? Or do you prefer to be kind of surprised?
I guess a mixture of both. Like if I am relatively, sometimes I like to go to general area and kind of have a feel what it's like. So like when I did my first 100, which was Burning River, I did Buckeye Trail 50K to kind of get the feel of what the course will be like. I did Forget the PR before I did Mohican 100. I did Mount Mitchell Challenge before Hellbender, so I kind of knew what the trails in Asheville area were like. But then, obviously when I did Hurt, I never see, I guess I shouldn't say that. I've seen the trails at Herd because I was there on vacation 4 years before I ran the race, but that was my only time. So yeah, I try if I can, but often, but I think when you live in the area and train on the trail, you obviously have an advantage over someone who is coming from out of town and never seen the trail.
That's it. Interesting. I would almost argue against that too, somewhat a little bit. Like if you're blindsided by a course, I think it's sometimes that there's that excitement of seeing it. So
Yeah,
you're not focused on it. Like like this is coming up, or you're dreading a hill climb that is going to
yeah,
be there.
that's
You
true.
kind of have like a ooh, that's figuring out what's happening because you have no idea.
Yeah, that's true. That sometimes ignorance is good, right?
So like
You
you said,
don't
it's a
know.
good mixture.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, if I can get in the general area, I will, but I will not go. Like, let's say there's a race week, and I will not go the day before or 2 days before because I think that will like mentally maybe scare me more than encourage me. So usually I don't go out on the trail and preview it right before the race. Then I just go, you know,
Yeah.
purely ignorant.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think about that a lot sometimes too, having run the Mohican lap so
Mm-hmm.
much in like training that in some of my training runs, I think, oh, like what would it be like to do 3 more of these? You know?
Yeah.
Um, and it's both, I think it is both good and bad because sometimes I get into my head where I'm like, my legs are already so tired, I have to do that 3 more times. Or like, I
Mm-hmm.
know that this climb is coming up, but I know exactly what climb is coming up,
Yeah.
so I know what to be prepared for. Um, so I definitely think there's a little bit of give and take there. But
Mm-hmm.
other than finishing first, then Nettie, what was the biggest surprise that you had during the Baby Dragon 100?
How cold it was. It was really cold. And it's, for August in Georgia, I didn't expect to be so cold. It rained. I mean, it just poured sheets of um, water. I think one of the aid stations, the roof collapsed, just sunk in almost. Um, it was just extremely wet and it was cold. I just felt cold and I didn't expect to be cold in August.
What was the temperature like? Like, do you know what it was?
I think it dropped to 60, but it was pouring and we
Yeah.
were soaked. And you were constantly soaked. So I changed my shirt a couple times, but I went out and I was wet within like 2 minutes. So and I made a decision. I knew it was going to rain, and I have a waterproof jacket and I have water resistant jacket. And I thought waterproof jacket is too warm. It's just too warm. Like it's more like for 40 degrees rain. So I just got the water resistant jacket, thinking, it's going to be warm, and maybe that wasn't the smartest choice. Maybe I should have something that would keep the water off me because it was colder than I thought it would be.
Crazy.
Yeah, I never once in my life have associated Georgia with even the phrase cold. So,
Yeah, right?
here,
I expected to be like super
mhm,
hot and humid. That's what
yeah,
I was dreading. I was dreading like 105 degrees and
yeah, 100% humidity.
yes, like it was
Yeah,
humid when we started, but then
mhm,
the rain came like 5 hours in and it pretty much rained most of the time until the second night when it stopped.
yeah.
I mean, second
All
night
right.
for me.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, real quick, we want to take a break here and ask everybody tuning in right now whether or not this is your first time listening to the Ridge Runners live show or you've seen literally every episode. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would and introduce yourself in the live chat. We'll be looking to that for questions that you might have for Nettie during this show. If there's anything you're curious about with her experience with the Baby Dragon 100 or any of the other hundreds that she's run in her life, or maybe her work with Trail Sisters, or directing races at Empower Ultras, go ahead and throw them in the chat there and we'll get to them. But moving on from that, you said in your Facebook post
Hmm.
after the race that with all of the Briars that you would have been ready for the Barkley after that. And how soon could you see yourself towing the line at the Barkley Marathons then? And do you have any tips for all of the rest of us when dealing with lots of briars on a race course?
Oh, that was a joke. I was just making a joke. No, I am. We can get to it. I got lost at least twice during the race, so I get lost on marked courses. So if I would go to Barkley, I would never find a single book because I am really bad in navigation and have really bad sense of direction. And also, I'm, not. I don't think I'm fast enough to move fast enough when I can run. So, but if I could have a GPX file, and then I could probably do it because I could suck it up and go through briars, and I could do the course. But no, navigation is the challenge for me. For the briars, I don't really know what my tip would be. I think would be like to wear long pants and long sleeve shirts to protect your body as much as you can, which I didn't do. I was wearing shorts and short sleeve shirt and a rain jacket. I was using my trekking post to kind of pull the weeds out of the way, kind of knock them down and push them away. But the trail was extremely overgrown, so you push one weed out of your way and then two others pop behind it. And you're still getting scratch, and you just pretty much have to suck it up, I guess. It's gonna hurt, but then it hurts only for when they catch you. But then a few seconds later, it gets better. But we had to go through that section 6 times. So I admit, like on my fifth pass, I almost cried. Like, I can't go through that again. Like, I don't have skin left on my legs. It just hurts. So it, like you said about Mohican and doing that thing again, like you're going through those briars again. And it's just like, oh, it's going to hurt a lot. So it does, I guess, very superficial and they hurt, but they don't hurt for a very long time. So if you get cut, it's going to hurt you for a few seconds, and then it will be better as long as nothing touches your leg for a while.
Those pictures look pretty gruesome. All
Oh,
the
they were
scratches. It was
awful.
crazy. I was like,
And my friend asked me if I want to go to the pool after I was done, and I said, Arbel, if I show up at the pool, we're gonna call the health department and close it. Like, people are gonna flip out. I can't go and be seen in public with my legs like that. There's no way.
Yeah. I often heard people talk about ultra races as death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Over the course of the race, things slowly start to hurt more and more. But I've seldom seen someone who looks like they actually have 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, I probably had close to 1,000. I had it on my arms too, and my hands, but not as bad as on my legs.
Yeah. And then I don't think you should sell yourself short with the navigation thing either, because I think sometimes it's easier to get lost on marked trails, actually, because you're so confident in where you're going.
Yeah, that's true.
Or at the very least, I do this. And as an example, if you follow me on Strava, you'll know that it took me 3 tries to find the right exit on the bike path here the other day in Columbus, because I looked at it on like Google Maps and I was very confident where I was headed, even though there were signs. So I think that element of the Barkley where you have to navigate, and you kind of come into it prepped, like with your map and compass, it's going to be a little different outlook going into it in the beginning. So that's something to consider. I always like to see people try to run things like the Barkley or Nolan's. So
yeah, Nolan's exciting too, but I have a hard time with elevation. Like I suffer at high altitude. There you can actually die at Nolan's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you can die at Barkley, but at Nolan's, I think you actually honestly could die. But it's super exciting, super, super awesome thing.
And so in that same Facebook post, you outlined some of the other things that went wrong for you in this race. You had some headlamp problems with it not wanting to stay turned on. You had some navigation problems that we already talked about, all the rain that we talked about, including even now something that we haven't mentioned, but simultaneous bee stings.
Yes.
How do you keep going in a race where it feels like so much has gone wrong and stay focused both mentally and physically?
Well, I always, so I say I don't have a really significant athletic talent. I'm not super fast. I will never do really well on a fast, flat course, but I'm stubborn. and I can kind of turn off my brain and focus on task at hand. And so what I try to do, I think I can stay pretty calm, and I always try to focus on things that I can control and don't dwell on things that I have no control over. Because for me, it's like a wasted energy. So my light is blinking and I don't have an extra light. And there's nothing I can do for the next 4 hours. I am stuck with my blinking light and my handheld light. So I have to figure out, I have to adjust my expectations, and I have to get more food from the aid station because I know it's going to take me longer than I thought, because I have to run slower because I don't have a good light. And just kind of like suck it up for the 4 hours it's going to take me to get the better light. So I think it was Roosevelt that said, do what you can with what you have where you are. And that's always been my ultra running mantra. So like when I got lost and I couldn't find the trail and I was wandering in circles for close to 40 minutes and the rain was coming in sheets and I just didn't know where it was. And at some point I even forgot where I came from. So even if I would see the blazes, I would possibly go in the opposite direction. So I didn't know what to do. And then I decided, I looked at my watch and I saw it was like 6 a.m. It's like, well, the sun will come up. And once the sun comes up, I will be able to see the blazes. So then I can go. So then I had the solution. I was like, I can't control the rain. I can't wish for the rain to stop because I have no control over it. But I know for sure that the light will come and I will be able to see the trail at 7 a.m. So maybe I just have to pull out my emergency blanket, wrap myself up and keep myself warm and kind of calm down and wait until the sun comes up. And then I can see where I'm going. But luckily, Michael Ortiz came down from the trail and he showed me where the trail was, and I didn't have to sit there wrapped in my blanket. But that was my plan. I was going to just wait for the sunrise. And so I think the way you keep going, you just have to see what you can do. And don't get mad or frustrated with something that's out of control. Don't get frustrated with the weather because you can't control the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Think about something that you can do and how you can make a difference and what you can. There's always something you can do. There's always something you can do. So focus on that.
Yeah.
Good advice right there.
That is really great advice. For all of our listeners who might be running the Burning River 100 this week, along with our esteemed co-host here, that does seem like really great advice. I wish you all the best and hope that you remember that if you have any low moments, because I know I'll be trying to do that the next time that I get out into a race, which it kind of brings to mind the advice I've gotten before about that, where it's like, if something goes wrong, let yourself be upset, but put like a very hard distinction on how long you're going to be upset.
Yeah.
Because if you forgot to refill one of your bottles at an aid station, you can't have a pity party until the next aid station, because all it's going to do is slow you down.
Yes, you can't control it. It's done. It's just like, I always tell, I ran with somebody and ran with my friend and she forgot to fill her bottle. And another friend kept saying like, oh, maybe you can do this or maybe you can that. And I said, stop talking about it. Like, she already moved on. Like, she found a solution. Like, stop talking about the bottle. Like, it's done. She can't, but yeah, you can't, you can have a tiny pity party, get mad for a minute or so, but like, you have to get over it and keep going. Because otherwise you give up because you feel helpless. You feel like you have no control. And if you have no control, then you can't go, right? Because it's the world against you.
Yeah. Definitely bring that up, this podcast up this weekend if I'm struggling, and I'll just re-listen to it.
Yeah, so you're doing Burning River 100? That's exciting.
Yes,
Super
my first 100 attempt.
Oh, cool. That was my first 100 too. That's a great race. Yeah. Such a cool race.
I'm excited about it. Nervous, but excited.
And the weather's supposed to be good, right? Because I didn't sign up.
We can certainly knock on wood.
Yeah, let's knock on
for the weather this weekend.
Yeah. Hope you'll be perfect weather and gentle breeze and everything will fall in place.
That's the hopes.
Yeah.
Oh. But Um, Going to the next question here we got for you lined up. In
Mm.
one of your Trail Sisters articles, you mentioned how far respect and kindness goes in terms of keeping people in community. Would you like to elaborate on more of Trail Sisters and what they do and your involvement in them, the group?
Oh yeah. So I'm a chapter leader for Trail Sisters in Dayton, Ohio. So we were one of the first chapters. I was actually following Trail Sisters for a long time, and I was asking Gina to let me set up the chapter even way before she was ready. And then when she finally was, then I was super excited, and we got it started. So it's my opinion. It's not Trail Sisters' statement, but I truly believe, and I'm very passionate about encouraging other women to try trail running. And I believe that the growth in sport and participation will come not so much from like lottery spots and what elite females are doing, as much as it will come from us supporting each other and from seeing other women who have similar life situation, who have like kids and jobs and aging parents and driving their kids to soccer practice and still doing those things, still doing races and finding the way. And that's how we grow the sport. That's my belief. But also I feel like as females, sometimes we can be toxic to each other and very competitive in the wrong way. And we can downplay each other's achievements and we can boast and we can compete in a very bad way. So I think what Trail Sister is doing is just pretty amazing. It's trying to build that community of support and not judgment and being there for each other. And we are like women in different life stages, different experiences. And yeah, we just do, all our runs are easy. So if you want a speed work or something that's, it's not what we do. We do conversational pace, sorry, like 6-mile runs. So we're trying to not to be intimidating. We want to, if you come and run with us, if you have, a local female, you will never be too slow. We'll never leave anybody behind. And yeah, we just offer support and encouragement and that sense of community.
Yeah, definitely reminds me of a previous episode that we had with Ryan from the Rocks and Roots Trail Run group, just north here of Columbus. But a group run where you can show up and you know you won't be dropped is a really great thing, especially for
will never be dropped.
Especially for somebody sort of just starting into the sport, or maybe they've been a runner and they're nervous about getting out on trails and running.
Very worried about getting lost or slowing other people down. So we have a few leaders, like run leaders, like the ladies that will, if we have to split into groups, and they are really good about never make you feel like you're slowing them down. So it's really, so yeah, if anybody wants to try it, really give it a try, and you're never too slow. And yeah, we'll never leave anyone behind. We'll always try to support and encourage everyone who shows up.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll leave some information with that in like the YouTube description or on our social media pages or something. And we also have our first question in the chat.
Okay.
It was from a little while ago, but it was from Wesley, who I think is supposed to be at work, so nobody tell anybody. But Wesley says, Nettie is ready for the Barkley Marathons 100s, ... But has she put in any thought into the Barkley Fall Classic?
So I never apply. I never registered for this one. It's usually around my husband's birthday. So it's one of those weekends that I always blocked off and don't race.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah. Well, pivoting back a little bit to some of the things that you've written for Trail Sisters. In two of those articles, you mentioned that the races that you that really excite you are the ones where you only have a 50-50% chance of winning. or
Of
not winning,
finishing.
but finishing. Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Probably like 1% chance of winning.
Yeah, but why is that? Why is that what you're looking for in a race?
So I think what I like about it, it's kind of like a story. You know, you don't know how I am in the story, and I don't know how the story will end. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. But it's an adventure. It's kind of like edge of the seat event. It's exciting because I don't know if I can do it, if I have it in me. I'm trying hard, and it's kind of like, especially in the middle of the night, I feel like I'm in the movie, right? I'm reading a book, but I am the book. I don't know if it makes even any sense. But, and also maybe because I am not particularly fast, that's my way of setting goals. I can push myself by doing like a hard technical race versus like setting, goal to run, I don't know, really fast.
Yeah.
Run at Canal Corridor or something like that. So
instead
but
of
mostly it's just excitement of seeing what I'm made of and where my limits are and what I can achieve and what's going to happen. I just don't know what's going to happen. And that's what's really, really exciting.
Yeah. So if I understand you right, what you're sort of looking after is that excitement of pushing the limits of what you can do, not just the limits of how fast you can go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the thing of not knowing, something that's not guaranteed. And I guess that's ultra running in general, because, when you run a marathon, you can finish a marathon, right? Pretty much. I mean, half marathon, maybe not as fast as you hoped, but you pretty much know you can do it. There you don't know if you can do it. And you don't know if you bit too much that you can chew. And I also like troubleshooting. I like finding solution. I like to kind of seeing where my limits are. So yeah. It's kind of dumb sometimes. I mean, I did the race at high altitude without training, without, cold turkey. Was very dumb, but yeah.
I find the comment about troubleshooting very interesting because like at work, like I love troubleshooting. It's what I like to do with technology, but I've never once made that connection to troubleshooting during a trail running race. Like,
Yeah,
but I like that.
it applies. Yeah,
Yeah,
you fix problems. You fix
Mhm.
problems.
Like that. I'm like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's not too much troubleshooting for you to do this weekend.
Yeah.
But once again, we will knock on
Yes,
wood.
nice.
Yeah.
Everything will, like, sometimes you have a perfect race and everything clicks. So hopefully you have one of those.
Hope so.
Yeah. Although, as you said, in sort of like living the story, usually it's where things go wrong that the story starts to get fun.
Yes.
At the very least, in my experience. I have never had much fun telling a story about how I had a really wonderful race versus where I had a race where I had a lot of problems come up. So.
Yeah, that's yeah. It's kind of like the movies and the books where nothing, it'd be very boring unless there is something that goes wrong and there's a cliffhanger, right? So the troubles are like kind of cliffhangers and then you have to get out of it. That's what you remember. And you learn. You always learn something about yourself. And there's always a lesson, which is super exciting too.
Yes. Silver H Dave in the chat says it's Ohio, so we'll find out the weather as it's happening and not before.
Oh yeah, you might change. Yeah, exactly. You might change halfway during the race. You never know. I mean, I've run races that it wasn't supposed to rain at all, and then it rained during the race in Ohio. I don't remember which one it was, but there was 0 chance of rain, and then it rained.
And so I already mentioned it briefly, but you don't just run these races, you also direct them with Empower Ultras. So, and you also mentioned a little bit going from like full-time to being like a working mom who also runs ultras. What was that transition like for you as your Trail Sisters author bio says, going from like full-time computer science work to a string of part-time jobs, being a swim and synchro mom, running trails, and directing ultramarathons?
So I was super competitive with my work. I work really hard. I had my daughter when I was 34, and even when I was pregnant, I worked crazy hours, and I never expected that would change. But then once my daughter was born, things changed, and I wanted to be part of her life. I wanted to be there more. So I tried to go back to work, and it wasn't for me. So I talked to my husband, and we look at our finances, and we figure out the way that I can work part-time and be there, be with my daughter, which was really important for me. So even though my husband at first thought I totally lost my mind, he really supported me. And so I've worked from home mostly, and I've done a bunch of projects and little things. And, I taught math a little bit, and I did a lot of volunteering. But I have not have the job that was, in the office 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for the last 14 years almost. And I'm also grateful for my life situation, because that also allows me to run, because I have that flexibility with my work, and I can set my runs around my daughter's schedule and our family schedule. So I am very, very lucky to have that life situation. And it was an adjustment, but I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it. Super fun.
Yeah. And so making the transition from being someone who just runs ultras to someone who also directs ultramarathon races, what is something that you think maybe the average ultramarathon runner doesn't know about race directing or should learn about race directing?
It's a lot more work. It's way more work than you think. And always something will go wrong, regardless of what it's exhausting. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. I love race directing. I've been doing it for 5 years. And, I had a lot of people who would do their first ultra, and it's just seeing them, getting that finish. It's very rewarding. But there is also, like, people get stung by bees, people get lost. The hardest part is pulling people, of course, when they don't meet time cutoff. And I hate doing it, but sometimes we have to do it for their safety, for safety of our volunteers. And that's one thing that's the hardest part for me, because I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. I try to set up the cutoffs that I don't have to do it, but that's the thing that's the hardest part of race directing for me, is cutting people, pulling them off the course when they don't meet the cutoff. I don't know if there was another part of the question that I missed.
Oh. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But it makes a lot of sense that you would say that the most difficult part of race directing for you is having to pull people off of the course. It seems like, or at least in my experience with race directors, they don't just want you to finish, but they want you to have that experience with that course, whatever that looks like for you. Whether you go out at 7-minute mile pace like Travis Zipfel or Michael Owen, you absolutely crush the thing.
Yeah, oh yeah,
or
amazing.
You're in the middle of the pack and you're just kind of having a party, or you're at the back of the pack and you're chasing cutoffs and you're working really hard.
Yeah.
That it seems like the thing that they want to happen is for you to have that experience, especially like an experience that they've had, and to share that experience of the trails and of this course or this route with, the whole community.
Yeah, it is. And people are usually in the back of the pack. A lot of them, they work extremely hard. They really, really work really hard. And we try to set our cutoffs so they're attainable for almost everyone. But sometimes, people roll their ankles, get stung by bees, things happen. And we have to, we had people that had an anaphylactic reaction, and they had to pull off course and tell them that it's really not safe to continue. And, people cry, and it's hard.
Oh, I've cried at races I've finished. And I'm usually not even near the cutoffs.
Yeah, I cried over it.
I would say that's not meant to be like a humble brag or anything, but no,
Yeah.
I've cried on, I think, most race courses. But yeah, so moving on a little bit from that, when you're running these races and not directing them, what is one thing that you can't leave an aid station without?
Oh, I just have to top my water. That's the thing. You always refill your water bottles on top of your bladder. Because it may take you longer than you think to get to the next aid station. So take that time, especially in the summer. Yeah, always grab something from the aid station. I always grab fruit. I think fruit is awesome. Even if my stomach is kind of going south, I can usually stomach fruit. It's like a quick sugar, orange slices, watermelon, that type of thing. But yeah, liquids are crucial, I think. I mean, I made that mistake when I thought I had enough water, I had enough electrolytes, and I did not, and it wasn't pretty.
Seems like it's easy to get caught off guard, especially if
Yeah.
temperature rises or something like that. If
Yeah,
you're
and especially with bladder, because you don't know how much you're drinking, you just feel like, oh, I don't need it. And then the section, kind of like we're talking that knowing the course, the section is way harder and takes you way longer than you thought, and then you run out of water, and that's bad.
Yeah.
So I always try to stop and I always carry the water bottle. So maybe not always, because topping the bladder is kind of a pain sometimes. Right, you have to take the pack off, but I try to have the water bottles, and those are really easy to top, and do that at every aid station. So at least I have a liter of water leaving, and yeah, it's extra weight that you have to carry, but I think it's worth it.
Keeping on that food topic, Andrew Wall said you often Strava your walks to Starbucks, and he's curious
Oh,
of your
yes.
favorite coffee.
Yeah, I love Starbucks. I am really bad with overpriced drinks. And I forced my daughter to. So I was doing that GB rat, Great Virtual Race across Tennessee, and the walking counts. So there's 2.5 miles from my house to Starbucks. So I would drag my teenager to go, and I would promise her to buy her a pink drink. I would do it. But yeah, I always get Starbucks gift card for all different occasions because everybody knows them. I like chai latte, and I like the skinny vanilla latte with almond milk. Starbucks. That's my favorite thing. Those are my favorite things.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So maybe kind of an odd question. Would you ever consider drinking one of those during a race if it was offered to you?
Coffee? The Starbucks?
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, you
Actually,
have?
I did that. Yeah, I did a 24-hour run on the track in Kettering, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, it's right in suburban area. And my friend Dagmar texted me, and she said, "What do you want? What can I bring you?" And I said, "Can you bring me Starbucks?" And she did. So she brought me Starbucks in the morning, and then my husband brought me another Starbucks at night. So I actually had like real full-size Starbucks, and I ran that race, real Starbucks.
Nice.
I should be sponsored by Starbucks.
And we'll have to tweet at them some, see if we can't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think so.
we will have to see. I don't believe they have an athlete team, but
No, I don't.
Start
think
somewhere.
so.
Yeah, as I said, let's hope they're willing to try something new.
Yeah. Starbucks is my weakness. I don't even want to know how much money I spend in Starbucks. I could probably go on vacation.
Yeah. All right. So I assume it's probably safe to assume that one of your pre-race rituals now is a Starbucks coffee, but do you have any other pre-race rituals?
Actually, no, I don't drink Starbucks coffee usually before. I try to get a little bit of caffeine going into the race, so it's more effective at night during the race. So it's kind of hard for like maybe a week before. But I would get the decaf coffee. So yeah, I would do that. I would get decaf latte. But I try to get a little bit of caffeine because I can also during the race, during the day, and then when I bring it out in the evening, it's more effective. I feel like I don't have to take as much. Other than that, I just try to chill out, stay off my feet as much as I can, make sure, like double check that my lights are charged, go over my drop bags, I like to make a list that I tape inside my drop bag that lists everything I have in it. And, look at the cutoffs and the distances between the 8 stations. I kind of review the race information. I like to print it, use the highlighter and like read it and highlight it and make little notes, that type of thing. But usually I try to stay off my feet and, have a good dinner and just chill.
Yeah.
That's the night before. And in the morning, I always eat oatmeal and yeah, that's my thing. And
okay.
Get there.
Silver Age Dave is got a question in the chat, and it is that there is a 24-hour run on September 5th and 6th in Toledo. He wants to know if you're running it. I know there were some other things on your Ultra sign up that you're signed up for and are in the future, but I can't remember what they are.
No, right I was not. I never even heard of it. One in Toledo. No, I'm not in it. I don't even know. The one I did is canceled this year because we didn't get the permit, but there was Run Raiser. It was called Run Raiser. It was in Dayton, Ohio, and it was on high school track. So it ran 24 hours on high school track. It was a great race. So 2021, you guys can be there.
Yeah. All right. And then, so we've covered what you kind of do pre-race and how your race went, but do you have a favorite post-race meal?
I like rice and beans. That's my thing. And guacamole or avocado. I like salty stuff. Nothing sweet. But the rice is good. Like sometimes I get the black bean soup at Panera Bread. I like that one too. Just like salty stuff.
Yeah.
After, not after.
Not during.
Not so much during. I don't know. Not black bean soup during the race.
Yeah. And so that, I think that's like a very good middle ground between somebody like Wesley, who after a race he can't eat and he's totally out of commission, or like me, whereas like the minute I'm in a chair, I would like nachos and a beer, please, like right then. That feels a lot more healthier than either one of those approaches.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a few minutes before I can eat after I finish, but I try to get something within half an hour of finishing. Because then if you don't, then... But yeah, I usually, rice is bland. I can get rice and beans. It's kind of... It tastes good. I could never do... I have a hard time with all those protein recovery drinks. It's just too sweet. I can't. There's no way I could drink it. It sounds like no.
Yeah.
No way.
And so this is another question that we kind of get mixed responses on, but I really like it. So I keep asking it. But it's if ultra running had walk-up songs like baseball did, what would yours be?
Well, so I don't really know, but I can tell you that when I was doing my second night at Baby Dragon, and I was on top of Dragon Spine, and I was going and sliding off the rocks, I heard Damn by Nirvana in my head. It was just
on
perfect.
Repeat? Is it just on repeat for a couple hours, or like just a couple times, or was it kept coming back like one of those songs?
Coming back, it was just like, I think I'm dumb, maybe just happy. The sun is down, but I have the light, and it was like perfect. It was exactly my story.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing here because it's my second night. I should be sleeping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kept hearing it. It was just kind of stuck in my head on repeat. And I kind of like it. I just thought it was, because sometimes what we're doing, it's like it's dumb, right? But it makes us happy.
Yeah. Oh, in the moment, it always seems like it's a very dumb thing to be doing. I regret a lot of life choices out on race courses. I'm not going to lie about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so this is a question that's usually been much better received. But if you could run with one person in the history of the world, even if they aren't a runner, assuming that they would run with you and keep your pace and you guys could have like a really nice conversational long run, who would it be?
Oh, I would run with Maggie Gurrow because I'm like a Maggie's the lady that won Big's backyard. I think she's awesome. She's amazing. She has amazing grit, and I think we could be friends. I really like her. I would like if she would slow down for me. I would run. I would love to run with her.
Yeah. And that's I feel like that's sort of one of the things about the ultra running community that surprised me is that so many of these answers are just other people from the community that we really only truly have like 3 degrees of separation from if you start charting out who always ran what races and who all knows who. Because I always, when we first started asking that question, I assumed that we would get answers like, you know, like Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
You know, or somebody like that. But it seems like most of us just kind of want to be friends with people that are already in our community.
Yeah, I guess when you're running, you kind of have those are like short sentences and talking. So I don't know, but yeah, I would love to run with Maggie. I think she's incredible. I just love her grit. I just love her drive. I think she's just super amazing person.
Yeah, she's definitely got some grit.
Yeah.
Yeah, her performance at Bigs, going over 250, that was just like super inspiring to watch.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And especially, I mean, I've run one backyard ultra. I got about, I think, 1/5 of the way that she did. But just the way that I kept like checking it, like the I Run Far Twitter every few hours, and then I would just go about my life, and then Maggie's still running, like clockwork. You know,
and it
was just so inspiring.
That was just incredible, like, you know, especially the format of this race that you can't really, you know, sit at the aid station for a while. You just have to get up and keep going and going and going. And yeah, it was just, I mean, her mind is, I would love to run with her and talk to her about that because that's so intriguing. The strength, the mental strength she has to be on her feet for so long, you know, it's amazing.
Yeah. So kind of a related question again from Andrew Waugh. I want to let Silver Age Dave know that I saw your question. We will get to yours, but Andrew Waugh's feels related. But he asks, do you want to run a backyard ultra so you could qualify to go to Bigs and then run with Maggie there?
I was signed up for Michael's backyard ultra, and that obviously got canceled. But I would like to try it. Yeah, it's intriguing. I think an hour might be kind of tight for me, you know, because I slow down eventually. But yeah, I have an interest in it. Yeah, I think those, you know, 14-minute miles eventually will be hard to maintain.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a break, but yeah, definitely interested in it.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic because then you'd end up being the first person to ever have run with the answer to that question. Get a chance to run with the person that they listed. we'd have to have you back on to hear about that experience.
Oh yeah, that's right. If I ever get, I could run with Maggie. That's the way to make it happen, right?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the plan. We'll have to, John, we'll have to go back through the archives and actually see and keep track of who everyone says and see if anybody ends up becoming friends with the people that they name, just to see what happens. But then Silver Age Dave, the question that I promised that I would get back to, he asks, what is your Grail 100? And also, do you plan to run a 150 miler or a 200 or any of those longer races even?
I definitely want to run 200. I was going to run Fat Dog 120 this year. That obviously got canceled. That's the race that it's always been my big dream race. And I was on waitlist for Bigfoot 200, but that also got canceled. So I am interested in running 200, 150, 200. There was a race in California, 150 Headlands, 150. It's outside of San Francisco that I was interested in running. That also moved to open course with with no support, which I can do. I can go to San Francisco by myself and run 150 miles out of my drop bag. I'm not talented enough to do that. But I am interested and intrigued by a longer distance, going over 100 miles. I'm scared. I don't know how, I mean, I know after being awake for 43 hours, how much harder it is than being awake for 30 6-7 hours. But yes, and the dream races, there was another part of the question, right?
Yeah. So we said, what is your Grail 100 miler? So like, what's the 100 miler that you want to run the most out of any?
At this point, I want to run the Fat Dog. That's the one that I really, really want to run. It's 120, 100, a little bit more over.
Close enough.
Yeah, that's the race I really, and now obviously I want to run Western States too eventually, if I ever get in. But a Fat Dog is the one that before that was Hurt, and I did that. Now I moved to Fat Dog. It's just beautiful and something that really speaks to me. So that's my dream race at this point.
Yeah. And so you say that you know how much harder things get after 43 hours. And I see just a very simple solution here to the idea of running a 200 miler, but also knowing how hard it gets after 43 hours. And I think you'll just have to finish in under 43 hours.
Yes, like run really fast, right? And
yeah,
easy to say. And also, the managing sleep, I just, like we talked about before we went on the air, how when you stop, how stiff you get. And then, like if you run 200 and you sleep for 3-4 hours and then you get up and like moving again, that will be definitely challenging when everything locks up on you after. I don't know. I've never been there. So that's something that hopefully I will find out at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And so sleep is kind of a big topic with the backyard ultras too, and how you're so constrained, you can really never get more than like 5 to 10 minutes of sleep in that race format. But did you sleep at all during the Baby Dragon 100 on the course or just after?
Just after. I didn't sleep during. I was very, very tired in my second night. I think if I would have taken a nap, it would probably make me go faster. Because I didn't sleep, but you honestly like fall asleep walking. Like you kind of zonk out and then you like fall asleep for like 5 seconds and then you wake up. So that was the amount of sleeping I did. And at some point I kind of fell asleep and I slid off the trail and I was like, oh, okay, that's not good. So I went to the aid station and I just loaded myself with caffeine. Loaded myself. It was way too much. And then I started running again. And all of a sudden I'm running and I feel like extremely hot, like really hot, like I'm dying. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm having my first ever hot flash. Like I'm going to menopause. And then I realized, no, it's over caffeinated stuff, because then I got cold. And then like my heart rate is pounding out of my chest. I was like, yeah, because I drank 2 cups of coffee and an energy shot. It was way too much.
That's especially if you taper caffeine before races. I'm well known for my caffeine habit. Especially coming right out of graduate school, I drink way too much coffee.
Oh yeah.
And even like 2 cups, and I don't imagine you spent that long in an aid station, and then the energy shot. That would probably even be a lot for.
Yeah, that was too much. I was like just because it takes a while for it to kick in. So I'm like, it's not working. So I've been awake for like 39 hours at that point. So I keep throwing that caffeine. I'm not thinking clearly. And then like all of a sudden, like, oh my God, what's going on? Why am I so hot? And like, no, it's like my heart is exploding. And so that was not a smart decision. No, don't drink too much caffeine. That's not good.
Yeah. And that's, you mentioned not wanting to do the Headlands 150 because, you can't have a support crew. You're not going to run 150 miles out in traffic.
Yeah, that was not,
that's a moment.
I'm sorry.
When you're throwing back more than 1 cup of coffee in an aid station, that's maybe a moment for a crew member to step in. And be like,
I didn't have a crew at, so what Headland 150 is, it's open course. So there's nobody there. There are no aid stations.
Okay.
So because if there were aid stations, I would do it. So they mark the course and you just go there and run it this year because of COVID, and it's in California. So they, super strict about permits. So you would just go and run the race by yourself, and then you send them your watch data at the end. But there is nobody there. There is no race director. There are no aid stations set up. You just do it completely alone, which, I just could not do it without, I need aid station, I think, for that distance, or somebody who would help me.
Yeah.
But I know I didn't have crew at Baby Dragon, but there were aid stations, so I could get stuff. I had drop bags, and they were dry. They were in the at the aid station, and there were people who were cooking you warm food, and there were amazing volunteers there that would support every 8 miles. So that's what I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't imagine doing 150 miles with your bag. Nettie,
Yeah, it was funny because with Baby Dragon, when I got the pre-race briefing, pre-race email, they didn't say anything about drop bags. And some races like Canal Corridor, you couldn't have a drop bag, right? Because people are touching it. I understand. So I emailed the race director and said, "Can I have a drop bag? Because I'm coming alone. If I don't have a drop bag, like I'm gonna run like those people who hike, AT with the pack to carry everything." But he let me have a couple drop bags, and that was very, very helpful. I think if I can have a drop bag, then I can have my light there and extra clothes, and I don't have to carry it with me all the time.
Yeah.
That's just a lot of extra weight to
Mm-hmm.
manage, and then fluids probably. You gotta probably be more diligent about what you drink and how much and when.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
You have to carry
you don't
that
have to
much.
filter water. Yeah, otherwise I would have to
Yeah.
filter water, because
Yeah.
where would I
Yeah.
get water?
Mm-hmm. And filtering is its own work
Yeah.
in and of itself. I know at least when I've had to like filter water during long runs, that like minute to like stop and actually like squat down at the side of the creek.
Yes.
That's very difficult to stand back up from sometimes.
Yeah, we did. My friend David and my friend Carissa and I, we did a SCAR in Tennessee. The AT section through Smoky Mountains, and we had to filter, and we also had to carry. We had car at 40 miles, so we had to carry 40 miles worth of food. It was hard, and filtering, like you said, like getting there, getting that filter out, and squatting, and then getting back up, and taking. That was definitely harder than like just going to aid station and getting a water bottle topped.
Oof. Let's see. Do you what races are you looking forward to? I mean, I know you said most of them are canceled, and then
Whatever is going on.
yeah. What are you kind of scheduled for again? I guess, and then or what are your immediate kind of training plans? I know you're gonna recover from this run before you probably go too hard at it, but kind of curious what your forward-looking goals were.
I'm looking forward to Pinhoti. It's still supposed to happen. I've never done Pinhoti. Most of my friends have. So I'm going with my friend Carissa, and we're going to run. The plan is to run together the whole race, which is super exciting. And this one will give me UTMB points too, hopefully. So I'm looking forward to it.
UTMB would be
And then next year, hopefully Fat Dog will happen. And I was supposed to crew my friend Nick at Badwater this year, and that got canceled. So I'm looking forward next year going and supporting Nick at Badwater. That's something that I'm very excited about.
Yeah. And before we go, you had mentioned that one thing that we didn't have a question for, but that you wanted to talk about was a little bit about being from Poland and turning disadvantages into a strength. So what would you like to say about that?
Oh, I think what I think about, sometimes we think we come from the place of disadvantage, right? We think we're like not like we go and run a race on a technical terrain, and we train, let's say, on the treadmill or going up and down, one hill somewhere in Ohio. But that disadvantage is our strength too, I think, because it makes us push harder and believe more. So we have that saying in Polish. It says, jakoś to będzie, which it's hard to, if you translate it directly, it means that it will be somehow, that things will work out somehow. And it doesn't promise you a happy ending. It doesn't promise you that things will work out perfectly, but it tells you that you will find a way and you will have more strength within you that you think you do. So I think coming from a disadvantage point, you try harder. like if we go from, like you guys in Ohio too, if we go and try to do something that's way harder than what we train on, we train harder and we try harder and we do way more. And we're super creative, right? We do like hill repeats on the same hill up and down for hours. And I do like mountain legs when I do like squats and lunges and hot yoga and, different things, to get ready for things that I am at disadvantage, but I guess I'm aware and I try harder. I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I'd never try to blame if things go south. I never blame it. Oh, of course, because I'm from Ohio. It's just, I think you can do more than you think. And I think if you're aware that you have to work harder and you don't expect things to work out perfectly. That's kind of in ultra running, there's a lot of mundane, right, in life, and you cannot quit. And then you're running your race, there will be times that will be hard and boring maybe and mundane, and you will not be having fun, but you have to push through it. Kind of in training too. So I think, yeah, just keep plugging. I don't know if it makes any sense. Maybe it's just kind of like rambling on.
Well, it makes total sense, and I think listening to you talk about the race earlier, you definitely are to live and do act by those ideas. You push through what bee stings, briars, dumping rain, blinking headlights that almost went out. Like you didn't get mad and you kept moving and you did what you obviously are describing exactly what you currently do, which is awesome. So it goes to show that it works.
Mm-hmm. And if you could say that phrase again. I'm not going to try to say it again.
The Polish phrase?
Yeah, in those languages.
It says jakoś to będzie.
Okay, so if you're looking for a mantra for your next ultra, jakoś to będzie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right,
talent.
You all heard it here first. But yeah, it looks like we don't have any more questions in the chat for you, Nettie. Mm-hmm. So do you have any sponsors that you want to plug? I mentioned before that you were with Empower Running. I hope everyone takes a chance to check out your races, maybe run one of them in the future, back when we can have all of these races.
Yes. Yeah, I the company, my friend Jennifer Russo and I have, is called Empower Ultras. And we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we hope once the things open up again, we will have our scheduled races again. So we'll have night trail marathons and shorter distances. We'll have 24-hour and 12-hour and 8-hour run that's scheduled to happen in March. And we have a couple other ideas that we hope to bring in 2021, but it all depends how the whole situation unrolls. And I am partially sponsored by Tailwind. So Tailwind is my nutrition choice, my drink of choice, and I use it in my racing and also in all the races I direct.
Where can people find you if they want to follow you on Strava or social media? So
I'm under my name, which is pretty long, but I think I'm the only person except I guess my husband. So I'm under Nettie Zeppettella on Strava and Aneta Zeppettella on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm under Mama21. It's Mama number 2 in the word 1. And I have a Twitter account that I never use, which is also Mama21. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool. And Empower Ultra is also on Instagram under it, Empower Ultra.
We'll link Empower Ultra and your Instagram on below. Everyone can go find you. We want to thank you again for joining us this evening. It has been a great show. We loved hearing all about your experiences with briars and bee stings and everything else that happened during the race. And congratulations on your first place and only winner.
And DFL.
For the race.
Well, when you're the only finisher, you can be both DFL and first place.
Yes.
But with that, we'll see everybody next week on the show. We should have a good recap next week of some experiences with the Burning River. So looking forward to it. Bye, everybody.
All right. See you, everybody.